That an attempt to assassinate the president had just taken place.
This one recalls the moment America lost a president.
He was wounded. My God, the president was hit.
Throughout American history, several politicians have faced the threat of assassination, narrowly escaping with their lives. While many are familiar with the successful attempts on the lives of figures like Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, lesser known are the stories of those who came dangerously close to a similar fate. Join us as we explore the 10 American politicians you didn't know were nearly assassinated. Bill Clinton, the 42nd President of the United States, faced 3 assassination attempts during his time in office. The most well-known happened in 1994, involving a dramatic incident with Francisco Martin Duran. Clinton, a Democrat, was president from 1993 to 2001. His presidency saw economic growth, welfare reform, and the Monica Lewinsky scandal. But on October the 29th, 1994, his life was at serious risk. Francisco Martin Duran, a troubled man with a history of legal issues, stood outside the White House gates. Armed with an SKS rifle, he fired 29 rounds at the iconic building. His target was President Clinton, who was inside at the time. Duran's erratic behavior and obsession with the president led him to this desperate and dangerous act. Despite the chaos, Clinton was unharmed. The White House security team quickly captured Duran, preventing any further harm. Duran was convicted of attempted assassination and sentenced to 40 years in prison. This incident left a lasting impression on the nation's memory. After leaving office, Bill Clinton continued his political career. He remained active in public life, championing various causes such as global health initiatives. Even after such a close call, Clinton became a respected elder statesman. He used his influence to promote diplomacy and humanitarian efforts worldwide. His resilience and continued dedication to public service have solidified his legacy. Francisco Martin Duran, however, remains in prison. His troubled past and misguided actions forever link him to that day in 1994. The White House, a symbol of resilience, has weathered many literal and metaphorical storms throughout its history. This event is a stark reminder of the challenges and dangers those who serve in the land's highest office face. Bill Clinton's close encounter with Francisco Martin Duran in 1994 highlights the severe risks presidents face. But how did another president's life hang in the balance due to a different yet equally chilling attack? Let's explore Ronald Reagan's terrifying moment of crisis next. Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, faced a terrifying moment on March the 30th of 1981 when John Hinckley Jr. shot him outside the Washington Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. Reagan, a charismatic Republican, had a successful career as an actor before he entered politics. He served as the governor of California and later became the nation's president. His presidency was known for emphasizing conservative values, economic reforms, and a strong stance against communism. The assassination attempt occurred as Reagan was leaving the Hilton Hotel after speaking to members of the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations. John Hinckley Jr., a troubled young man, fired 6 shots from a .22 caliber revolver. One of those bullets hit Reagan in the chest. The attack was not politically motivated. Instead, Hinckley hoped to impress Oscar-winning actress Jodie Foster, whom he had developed an unhealthy obsession with after watching the film Taxi Driver, in which Foster starred. The bullet that struck Reagan had ricocheted off the side of the presidential limousine, hitting him in the left underarm. The impact broke a rib, punctured a lung, and caused severe internal bleeding. Reagan was rushed to George Washington University Hospital, where he was close to death. Emergency exploratory surgery saved his life, and he was released from the hospital on April the 11th. Remarkably, during this crisis, there was no formal invocation of the Constitution's 25th Amendment, which outlines the vice president assuming the president's powers. Reagan completed a second term as president, leaving a lasting legacy. His leadership during the Cold War and economic policies significantly shaped the nation. Sadly, Reagan was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in the 1990s and passed away on June the 5th of 2004, leaving behind a significant impact on American history. John Hinckley Jr. was found not guilty because of insanity and remains confined to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, a psychiatric facility in Washington, D.C. His misguided attempt forever links his name to that fateful day in 1981, while Reagan's memory endures as a resilient leader who survived an assassin's bullet. Harry S. Truman, the 33rd President of the United States, faced a dramatic and dangerous moment on November the 1st of 1950. That day, two Puerto Rican nationalists, Griselio Torresola and Oscar Collazo, attempted to assassinate him at the Blair House in Washington, D.C. Let's take a closer look at what happened. Truman, a Democrat, became president in 1945 after Franklin D. Roosevelt passed away. During his presidency, Truman made some very significant decisions, such as authorizing the use of atomic bombs to end World War II and helping to establish the United Nations. Known for his straightforward and uncompromising approach, he earned the nickname Give 'em Hell Harry. At the time of the assassination attempt, the White House was being renovated, so Truman and his family were staying at the nearby Blair House. On that fateful day, Collazo and Torresola, who were part of the New York chapter of the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party, were waiting for Truman to end his life. They launched their attack with a Walther P-38 and a Luger pistol. Torresola shot White House police officer Leslie Caulfield, severely injuring him. Despite his injuries, Caulfield heroically managed to return fire and kill Torresola. Meanwhile, Secret Service agents engaged Collazo and wounded him before he could reach the president. Truman, who was upstairs in the house then, remained unharmed. The swift actions of law enforcement were crucial in ensuring Truman's safety. Collazo was later tried in federal court and found guilty of first-degree murder and assault with intent to kill. He was initially sentenced to death, but Truman later commuted his sentence to life imprisonment. In 1979, Jimmy Carter further reduced Collazo's sentence, and he was eventually released. Truman passed away on December 26, 1972, leaving a legacy of strong leadership. His presidency played a pivotal role in shaping post-war America, and his dedication to civil rights and international cooperation continues to be remembered. Collazo spent nearly 30 years in prison before rejoining society, and his failed attempt on Truman's life remains a stark reminder of the vulnerability of leaders and the resilience of democracy. As we reflect on the dramatic attempt on Truman's life, how did another assassination attempt against the U.S. president unfold just decades later? Let's explore the shocking story of Samuel Bike and his desperate plot against Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States, almost met a terrible end on February the 22nd, 1974. A man named Samuel Bike, fueled by anger and despair, tried to kill Nixon shockingly. Nixon, a Republican president who served from 1969 to 1974, was controversial. The Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal that forced him to resign, and his strong personality all left a mark on American history. Bike, on the other hand, was a former tire salesman from Philadelphia whose life had taken a turn for the worse. A divorce, financial trouble, and a growing bitterness towards the government, particularly towards Nixon, fueled his rage. Bike believed the government was hurting people like him. His plan was shockingly simple, yet horrifying. He planned to hijack a commercial airplane, Delta Airlines Flight 523, and crash it directly into the White House with Nixon inside. He saw the plane as a weapon, a missile aimed at the heart of American power. Thankfully, the pilots on the flight were able to stall him and send a distress signal. Authorities reacted quickly and were able to stop Bike before he could complete his deadly mission. The event ended tragically. Bike shot and killed a police officer and a pilot during the struggle. Another officer managed to shoot and wound Bike, stopping him from carrying out his plan. In a final desperate act, Bike took his own life. Nixon himself was unharmed, but the event left a deep scar on American history. Nixon's presidency ended in disgrace with his resignation in 1974, though his legacy is complex. He achieved significant successes in foreign policy, like opening relations with China, but the Watergate scandal forever tarnished his reputation. As for Bike, His misguided attempt to kill the president serves as a chilling reminder of how political anger can sometimes boil over into violence. Gerald Ford, the 38th president of the U.S., faced two alarming assassination attempts within just 17 days in September of 1975. Ford, a Republican, stepped into the presidency in 1974 after Richard Nixon resigned due to the Watergate scandal. His presidency was focused on healing the nation and rebuilding trust in the government. Known for his modest and approachable style, Ford earned the nickname Gentleman Jerry. The first attempt came on September the 5th of 1975 when Lynette Squeaky Fromm, a genuine follower of cult leader Charles Manson, tried to kill Ford in Sacramento, California. Fromm was only a few feet away from Ford on the public grounds of the California State Capitol when she aimed a Colt M1911 .45 caliber pistol at him. Fortunately for Ford, Fromm hadn't loaded the gun, so her attempt failed. Ford continued to the State House to meet with Governor Jerry Brown. Fromm was sentenced to 34 years in prison for her crime and released on August the 14th, 2009, which was more than 2 years after Ford's death. Just 17 days later, on September the 22nd, 1975, Sarah Jane Moore made her attempt on Ford's life. After Ford's speech at the World Affairs Council in San Francisco, Moore fired 2 shots at him with a .38 special revolver. Thanks to the quick actions of those around Ford, both shots missed their target. Moore's exact motivations remain unclear, but her attack only added to the tension surrounding Ford's presidency. Gerald Ford passed away on December the 26th, 2006. His presidency is remembered for his decision to pardon Nixon, his efforts to stabilize the country during a challenging period, and his commitment to transparency. As for the would-be assassins, Lynette Fromm's misguided devotion to Manson led her down a dark path, while Sarah Jane Moore's motives continue to be a mystery. As Gerald Ford's presidency faced shocking assassination attempts in 1975, the safety of future leaders remained a pressing concern. What other attempts might have tested the resolve of subsequent presidents? Let's explore Jimmy Carter's close call with danger and the bizarre plot that nearly unfolded against him. Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, served from 1977 to 1981. Known for his focus on human rights, energy conservation, and diplomacy, Carter's presidency faced tough challenges like the Iran hostage crisis and economic problems. On May the 5th of 1979, Carter was scheduled to appear at the Civic Center Mall in Los Angeles. Just minutes before he was set to appear, Secret Service agents arrested a man named Raymond Lee Harvey. Harvey, an unemployed drifter from Ohio, had been acting suspiciously near the venue. When searched, agents found that he was carrying a starter pistol loaded with blank rounds, essentially a cap gun. Harvey claimed he was part of a plot to assassinate the president. He said that 3 Latino men staying at the Allen Hotel had given him the starter pistol to create a diversion. The plan was for Harvey to fire the gun into the ground, causing chaos, while the 3 men would shoot Carter from their hotel room. It was a pretty bold scheme. Initially, Harvey's story seemed unbelievable, especially since he had a history of mental illness, and his claims sounded like the ramblings of someone who might be drunk. Despite this, the police decided to look into it. They found a room at the Allen Hotel that contained a shotgun case and 3 unused rounds of ammunition. Interestingly, the person who had rented the room checked out on the same day as the attempted assassination. Adding to the intrigue was the coincidence of Harvey's name, Lee Harvey, which reminded some people of Lee Harvey Oswald, the man who assassinated President John F. Kennedy. Some conspiracy theorists even suggested that this incident was meant to scare Carter. However, the charges against Harvey and his supposed accomplices were dropped due to insufficient evidence. Carter survived this potential threat and finished his term as president. After leaving office, he continued his work in humanitarian efforts, including with Habitat for Humanity. Remarkably, Carter is still alive today, making him the longest-lived U.S. president in history, and he remains a symbol of resilience and dedication to public service. George Herbert Walker Bush, better known as George H.W. Bush, was the 41st President of the United States, serving from 1989 to 1993. A member of the Republican Party, Bush had a notable political career, including serving as Vice President under Ronald Reagan. He was recognized for his diplomatic abilities, leadership at the end of the Cold War, and role in the Gulf War. On April the 13th of 1993, the day before George H.W. Bush was set to visit Kuwait City and be honored for his success in the Persian Gulf War, Kuwaiti authorities uncovered a disturbing plot to assassinate him. 14 people, mainly from Iraq, were arrested for their involvement. The plan involved a massive car bomb hidden in a Toyota Land Cruiser. The Kuwaiti authorities discovered the vehicle, which contained between 80 and 90 kilograms of plastic explosives, mainly composed of Research Department explosive. The detonator for the bomb was ominously referred to as the Bush device in an FBI laboratory report. In addition, 10 cube-shaped plastic explosive devices with detonators, known as cube bombs, were found in the Land Cruiser. The plot was carefully planned, and the potential consequences were severe. In response to this bold assassination attempt, U.S. President Bill Clinton took immediate action. He ordered U.S. warships to launch Tomahawk cruise missiles at a target in Baghdad, Iraq. On June 27, 1993, 23 Tomahawk missiles struck downtown Baghdad, targeting a building believed to be the headquarters of the Iraqi intelligence service in the Mansour district. The attack destroyed the intelligence headquarters, sending a strong message to Iraq. Clinton believed the Iraqi intelligence service orchestrated the plot based on 3 key pieces of evidence: the suspect's detailed confessions, the explosive link to Iraq, and public threats from Iraqi President Saddam Hussein. The suspects in Kuwait admitted their roles, with Raad Asadi and Wali Abdelhadi Ghazali, both Iraqis, identified as the alleged leaders. Asadi took responsibility for directing the car bomb, while Ghazali admitted he would have detonated it. The FBI traced the explosives to Iraq, and Saddam Hussein had publicly threatened Bush even after his presidency. George H.W. Bush survived the assassination attempt and remained active in public life until his death on November the 30th of 2018 at the age of 94. As George H.W. Bush survived an assassination attempt, his survival and political impact took center stage. But how does the shocking attempt on George Wallace's life compare? Let's explore the twist of fate and the resilience of these iconic figures. George Corley Wallace Jr. was a notable American politician who served as the governor of Alabama for 4 separate terms. He was known for his strong opposition to racial integration during the Civil Rights Movement, which made him a highly controversial figure. Wallace ran for the U.S. presidency several times, including a bid in 1972. On May the 15th, 1972, during an outdoor rally at the Laurel Shopping Center in Maryland, Wallace was shot by Arthur Bremer, a 21-year-old man with a troubled mindset. Bremer fired 5 shots, hitting Wallace and 3 other people. One of the bullets hit Wallace's spine, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life. This attempt on his life shocked the nation and changed Wallace's life forever. Arthur Herman Bremer, the man who shot Wallace, had a history of mental health problems and had previously stalked other political figures, including President Richard Nixon. Although Bremer's reasons for targeting Wallace remain unclear, he seems to harbor anger and resentment towards society. His attack was likely an effort to gain fame and make a statement. After the shooting, Wallace faced significant physical and emotional struggles but continued his political career, running for president again in 1976. Over time, he changed his views on racial segregation and worked towards making amends with the African American community. Wallace's shift in attitude surprised many. George Wallace died on September 13, 1998, at the age of 79. His legacy is complex. He started as a staunch segregationist, but later sought to make amends. His survival and eventual transformation highlight his resilience and capacity for change. Larry Claxton Flint Jr. was an American publisher and president of Larry Flint Publications, known for producing adult magazines like Hustler and adult videos and television channels. A fervent advocate of the First Amendment, Flint was involved in numerous high-profile legal battles defining free speech and even ran for public office. On March the 6th of 1978, during a legal case concerning obscenity in Gwinnett County, Georgia, Flint and his lawyer were shot while walking on a sidewalk in Lawrenceville. The attacker, Joseph Paul Franklin, a neo-Nazi serial killer, left Flint with severe injuries that also resulted in partial paralysis and permanent spinal cord damage. His attorney was also seriously injured. This shocking event profoundly impacted Flint's life and drew national attention. Franklin, motivated by hatred, targeted African Americans and Jewish people during a killing spree across the U.S. from 1977 to 1980. He admitted to attempting to kill both Flint and civil rights leader Vernon Jordan. Despite the severity of their injuries, both Flint and Jordan survived, although Flint was left paralyzed from the waist down. Larry Flint passed away on February the 10th of 2021 at the age of 78. His legacy is marked by his controversial publications and steadfast commitment to free speech. His survival after the assassination attempt remains a symbol of resilience and an enduring fight for civil liberties. Larry Flint's dramatic survival after a life-threatening attack was a testament to his resilience and unwavering commitment to free speech. But who else faced a similar threat while challenging the status quo? Let's explore the story of Ross Perot, who too encountered a deadly attempt against him during his remarkable career. Ross Perot, an influential American businessman, politician, and philanthropist, impacted U.S. politics. Born in Texarkana, Texas, Perot achieved notable success in business, founding Electronic Data Systems in 1962. By 1984, General Motors acquired a controlling interest in EDS for an impressive $2.4 billion. Perot's influence extended well beyond the corporate world, touching various aspects of American life. In 1992, Perot launched an independent campaign for the U.S. presidency, focusing on critical issues like balancing the budget, ending job outsourcing, and introducing electronic direct democracy. During this high-stakes political period, Perot faced a severe threat when an assassination attempt was made against him. A letter bomb was sent to his office, but authorities intercepted it in time. The bomb was safely detonated, preventing any harm to Perot. The successful thwarting of the assassination attempt highlighted the effectiveness of security measures and the prompt action of law enforcement. Despite not winning any electoral votes, Perot achieved a significant milestone by receiving over 19.7 million votes, which amounted to 18.9% of the popular vote. His campaigns in 1992 and 1996 are noted as some of the strongest performances by a third party or independent candidate in U.S. history. Ross Perot passed away on July the 9th of 2019 at 89 years old. His legacy extends beyond his political endeavors, leaving a profound mark on business, philanthropy, and American public life.